Well, tonight we continue our How We Fight series from the White House. Here's Bret Baier.
The military has undergone a transformation. But another major change is the way America approaches our traditional foes. When he first ran for president, Barack Obama promised he would meet with America's enemies without preconditions.
The notion that somehow not talking to countries is punishment to them, which has been the guiding diplomatic principle of this administration, is ridiculous.
The enemy he was most eager to talk to was the leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
He looked at the Iranians as representing a threat on the national issue of nuclear proliferation.
Ambassador Dennis Ross, who served as a foreign policy advisor to President Obama from 2009 to 2011, counseled the president on his approach to Iran.
We have an early meeting where he wants to try to understand what approaches towards the Iranians could work and what are the prospects of any diplomatic effort working.
It's been reported that almost immediately upon taking office, President Obama began to send secret letters to Iran's leaders. Your thoughts about that?
They did. They began a pen-pal relationship early on in President Obama's time.
Republican Congressman Mike Pompeo serves on the House Intelligence Committee.
He was attempting to signal to the Iranians that he was going to be different and allow them to do things they'd not been permitted to do before.
Part of President Obama's approach included apologizing to the regime's supreme leader.
It was very much a message of acknowledging that America had wronged Iran in the past, whether it was supporting the coup in 1953 or supporting the rule of the Shah.
Jay Solomon, the author of The Iran Wars, is the senior foreign affairs correspondent for the Wall Street Journal.
We understand, the U.S. has done bad things to Iran in the past, and we'll acknowledge them. We're not seeking regime change.
How would you describe the Iranian regime that President Obama is set to woo?
A hardline, terrorist, theocratic regime. Intent on protecting not only their own power, but spreading terror around the world. That was the government the President of the United States began to engage.
A regime notorious for killing Americans.
Iran and their militias in Iraq tried to kill me and my soldiers and every other soldier who was on patrol. There's no doubt about that.
Republican Senator Tom Cotton, who was a platoon leader with the 101st Airborne Division in Iraq, now serves on the Senate Armed Services Committee.
They continue to try to kill Americans around the world to this day.
In June of 2009, while the president was making secret overtures to the Islamic regime, Iranians took to the streets to demand democratic reform in what was called the Green Movement.
The Green Revolution in Iran was a huge opportunity for the Iranian people, but also for the United States and its allies.
Neil Ferguson is a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution.
Nothing would improve the situation in the Middle East more than regime change in Iran. But when the moment arrived, the president sat on his hands and did nothing.
People were chanting, were crying out so that Obama, are you with us or with them, and asking for his support.
Ali Nazari was among those countless Iranians pleading for the president's help.
We wanted a democracy, Western democracy actually. Many people got arrested, they were tortured, they got killed. Obama did nothing.
The administration insisted they didn't intervene on behalf of the Green Movement because they feared American support would delegitimize it. Senator Cotton offers another explanation.
I think the answer is very simple. They didn't want to upset the Ayatollahs and risk the possibility of reaching a nuclear deal.
Some now claim President Obama's desire to achieve that nuclear deal with Iran also played a part in his Syrian policy. In August of 2012, the president warned that country's leader, Bashar al-Assad, against using weapons of mass destruction.
A red line for us is we start seeing a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around or being utilized.
But when Assad crossed that line, killing nearly 1,500 Syrians with sarin gas, President Obama startled the international community when he did not retaliate militarily.
Foreign ministers, defense ministers, ambassadors, leaders all talked to me about it.
Chuck Hagel was President Obama's Secretary of Defense from 2013 to 2015.
Our allies would ask me, what does the president intend to do if he doesn't fulfill essentially what they saw as a commitment?
President Obama insisted he hadn't blinked.
First of all, I didn't set a red line. The world set a red line.
But it now appears that one of the reasons President Obama did not enforce that red line was because he was afraid of Iran's response.
Jay Solomon in the Wall Street Journal has reported that the reason the ultimatum wasn't followed up on was because there was definitely fear that strikes in Syria could alienate the Iranians and make them walk away from diplomacy. True?
I was no longer in the administration at that point.
But you think it was true?
There's no doubt in my mind that there was a worry that if we did things there, that we didn't know how the Iranians would react.
President Obama, in my opinion, has let Syria burn in no small part because he didn't want to upset the apple cart with his nuclear negotiations with Iran.
It's clear President Obama was willing to go to great lengths to get an agreement with Iran. The question becomes, was it worth it?